welcome to World Refugee Day. We are so excited that you're here. We have had some wonderful sessions this morning. We had some refugee stories that were shared very early this morning, and then we just finished a session with Jessica Goudot, who is the author of After the Last Border. She read an excerpt from her new book coming out, and so I would encourage all of you to check out that book. We have a link being sent out for that. And so we will start today's session with just a couple reminders. I want to remind everyone that this is a recorded session. We will also be taking questions. So if you have any questions throughout the session, please put them, you can put them in the chat box or you can put them in the Q&A section. We will try to answer and get to as many as we can, but if we're not able to get to them, we will follow up in an email with your questions answered with different people from the panel. So every question will be answered eventually. And then we will also put a link to our next session, which is another book reading, in the chat towards the end of the session as well, so you're able to join from there. I'd like to introduce you to our moderator today, Amira Suton. Wonderful lady. Amira was born in Bosnia in 1966 and lived in Bosnia the entire time, including the 5 years of the war. She came to America as a refugee in September of 1996 and has a Bachelor of Science in Healthcare Management from Southern New Hampshire University. Amira, we're so glad to have you here, and I'm going to turn everything over to you. You're also muted. Sorry.
Yeah, I just unmuted myself. Sorry, guys, technical difficulties. Thank you, Miranda. And thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for joining us for the celebration of the World Refugee Day. We are joined by 5 panelists who each represent an organization that is part of the Refugee Roundtable for our Experts Fireside Chat. So I'm going to be introducing them, and then you guys, your name is there, but if you can please just wait. Zeidan, my very good friend from Interfaith Action of Central Texas, IACT. Lou, I don't see the hand. No, I'm just kidding. Lubna Zeidan has been the Refugee Program Director at AICT or IACT since 2002. Growing up in Lebanon, she taught English as a second language at the middle, high school, college, and the adult education level. In Austin, IACT Refugee Program teaches English and cultural education to adults and school-age refugees. Fille Kinyamahanga, sorry if I broke your last name. Can you wave, Fille? Thank you. Fille Kinyamahanga is a resettlement case manager at Refugee Services of Texas. Fille came to the United States as a refugee from Democratic Republic of Congo and has since dedicated herself to advocating for refugees throughout Texas. Mike Kakarash, Mike, hey. Mike Kakarash is the Employment Program Manager at the Caritas of Austin, who oversees the team of numerous case managers and employment specialists who work hard to help refugee clients integrate during their first 5 years in the United States. Salimah Shamsuddin from Austin Independent School District. Salimah Shamsuddin is currently, did you wave, Salimah? I didn't see it, thank you. Salimah is currently the Refugee Family Support Coordinator at Austin Independent School District. In her current role, she served as a liaison between refugee families and the school district. Prior to her joining Austin ISD, she worked at the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants and provided coordination for a newly formed Refugee Mental Health and Wellness Initiative and developed a collaborative network of invested stakeholders to improve access and wellness outcomes for refugees in Austin, Houston, and San Antonio. Her expertise includes advocacy, coalition building, and outreach aiming to increase access. Salimah holds a master's in international migration from the University of Kent, Brussels School of International Studies. She's certified in trauma-informed cross-cultural psychoeducation and mental health first aid. And last but not least is Radhika. Khara, Radhika. Oh, thank you for waving. Radhika Khara is from Center for Survivors of Torture, or CST. Radhika Khara is a licensed social worker and board-approved supervisor. She is the clinical director at the Center for Survivors of Torture. Radhika joined CST in June of 2017 and provides ongoing counseling and social services to CST clients. I am so excited that you guys are here, and thank you for waiting. I want to welcome everyone to the panel, and then we're going to start. So I'm going to be asking questions, and this question is going to be for all of you panelists. Can you please tell us about your role in helping individuals and families who are newly arrived refugees? Fille, I'm going to pick on you. Can you please start?
Hi, my name is Fille Kinyamahanga. I am a resettlement case manager with Refugee Services of Texas here in Austin. And my role in the resettlement process is to support and empower clients to see their own strength and help them to achieve self-sufficiency. Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted again. Lou, can you be next, please? She's muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Zeidan. I am the Refugee Program Director at Interfaith Action of Central Texas. And what we do is we teach English as a second language to adult refugees in Austin. I'm in charge of the program, so I don't personally teach, but I oversee the teachers and the other staff. We have an adult program that's year-round. We have a youth program that involves a summer program, as well as year-round tutoring and mentoring. We also have on-site a nursery for the children of our clients. And English, of course, is very important for people when they first come here, and for a long time after that. That's usually the problem that stops them from getting ahead in the community, is the challenges of learning English.
Thank you very much, Lou. And Fille, sorry, we were all muted. Do you have more to say, Lou, or should we move to Salimah?
Just go on, Salimah.
All right, thank you. Salimah, can you please address the question?
Sure. Hi, my name is Salimah Shamsuddin, and I'm the Refugee Family Support Coordinator for Austin Independent School District. Our refugee office within the district serves as a language and resource hub for refugee, asylee, and newcomer students. And we currently have over 900 refugee students within Austin Independent School District. And our staff provides assistance with school registration, parent-teacher conferences, campus events targeting refugee families, and special assistance, special education assistance for interpreting and translating documents. And so we hope that we're able to provide a welcoming school environment by engaging refugee families and ensuring early learning opportunities for newcomers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salimah. Mike, I'm gonna pick on you. You're next, please.
Sure. Thank you, Amira, and thank you, Miranda, the panelists, and everybody who is attending this session. Thank you all so much. Hopefully that you guys are attending today's event. I am Mike Kakarash, the Employment Program Manager with Caritas of Austin. We have been working and helping refugees since 1974. In the employment program, we help refugees with financial assistance, medical referrals, education referrals, such as English language instruction, JRC, that stands for Job Readiness Class, various vocational trainings and professional recertifications, clothing, supplies, tools that go towards employment, rent, utility, food, and household items. Our goal is to help our clients become independent and be self-sufficient and contributors to their new community.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. Radhika, can you please join us and answer the question?
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you for having me on the panel today. I'm Radhika Khara. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the clinical director at the Center for Survivors of Torture, also known as CST. At CST, we provide free long-term counseling, social services, medical services, art and meditation groups, and referrals to refugees. We provide a safe space and a hospitable environment where our clients can share all of their experiences. And currently, due to the pandemic, we're offering all of our services virtually. Part of what I do is to offer support to our clients, provide treatment for their mental health needs, connect them to other resources in the community, and most importantly, instill hope and facilitate healing from trauma. We provide services to children as well as adults and help them get acculturated in their new communities here in Austin. I'm really glad to be here today and speak with everyone that's on the panel, given that I often rely on all of these organizations for improving social support for our clients and connecting them with these resources.
Thank you. Oh my God, what an amazing group of people. Thank you so much, guys. I'm so proud to sit here and just like ask you questions. So I have a little input to this question, and I'm going to be asking Mike and Fille to please answer this. What drew you into the work you do helping refugees in the Central Texas community? Mike, can we start with you, please?
Sure. So I'm an immigrant myself, and as such, I have personal experience of what is it like to be a refugee and what the needs are out there. Does have a passion to be part of what the refugee agencies and community do out there for this population with everything that we can provide and offer to help them, become new members of this community.
Thank you, Mike. Fille.
Thank you so much for that question. Like Mike said, I am an immigrant. I am originally from Democratic Republic of Congo. In 2004, my family had to flee the country, which led us to living in a refugee camp. And that's where I met a lot of social workers that came to help us during that difficult time. A few years later, we had the opportunity to come to America, where we met our first case manager from Caritas. And also we started learning English from iAct with Lou. Also, after graduating high school, I volunteered with the International High School as a mentor to refugee students. My sophomore year in college, I co-founded a group called Arms of Refuge, which is a group of students who volunteer in Dallas to assist the refugee families, helping them with citizenship, connecting them to the local services, and then also provide after-school program for their kids. And my junior year, I did my internship with World Refugee as a SAS case manager. And finally, my senior year, I studied abroad in Belgium, and I was interned with Breaking Chains Network, which serves victims and survivors of human trafficking. So basically, my experience as a refugee inspired me to become a social worker, as I have seen firsthand the difference that people can make in other people's life. So just basically being a refugee, that's what drew me to become the person I am today.
Thank you. I'm so proud of the person that you are and everyone else on this panel. And I always say, and I know from my personal experience, nothing heals refugee and immigrant wants more than helping another refugee or immigrant. It truly is, a healing. So talking about the hardship, that's our next question. Can you guys all tell me what are the biggest hardship you see the clients you work with going through in the process of settling into a new life in the United States? Fille, we can start with you, please.
Thank you so much. There is a lot of hardship that you see clients go through. Like it will be hard to name all of them, but I see refugees experience culture shock when resettling in the United States. The language is new, the healthcare system is difficult to understand. The language and the parents are worried about their children's future and education. The expectation that refugees have before resettling are what they see when they arrive. And then also the language barrier is difficult to find a job quickly. And the cost in the United States, it's higher than expected for them. So.
Thank you, Fille. Lou, do you want to address this question, please?
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of hardships that refugees face. We tend to think that they have been through horrible events back in their countries, and so they're safe and sound, and everything's wonderful now that they're in the U.S. Unfortunately, sometimes new trauma is created just by trying to navigate the expectations of all of us here and of the community as a whole. One of the issues, of course, is language. And I don't think very many people who don't teach English appreciate how difficult it is to learn a new language when you're an adult. First of all, the sounds you can make in your mouth are created by your first language. And until the age of about 12, 13, 14, I've seen differences in refugee kids who've been here. If you arrive after that, you will always have an accent.
Mm-hmm.
You can fight it as much as you like, but you will always have an accent because your mouth cannot make the sounds that the new language pushes you to. Now, there's sounds that don't overlap between languages and sounds that do. And when we hear people from different countries trying to speak English, you hear different accents because that is created by their home language, that accent, the way that they're able to say the certain words. So that is one thing. So we should always keep in mind never to downplay how hard it is to learn English. And I've heard it from a lot of people who are not aware in that, well, this person has been in taking English classes for 6 months. Why doesn't she know her ABCs? Okay, it takes a very long time, and what creates the challenges depends on the person, their background, how much education they had, their language, their age, their mental health situation at the time. Because, and I'm sure Radhika can talk at length about this, just the mental hardship of trying to overcome all the past experiences they have had and try to function in a normal quote unquote surrounding, that in itself is stressful. Now, we have a program. Our program is a grant from the Office of Refugee Resettlement, and most of us have that grant, the refugee agencies who work with refugees. The grant has its limitations. For example, we are not necessarily have to teach English for more than 40 to 80 hours. All research tells you that it takes at least 1,000 hours of instruction and to be in a class regularly for regular human beings who have not had a lot of other influences to learn to be able to navigate the language at a beginner, sort of intermediate level. 1,000 hours of instruction, that's 2 years. So when the resettlement program in the US is only able to support refugees getting free English lessons for a certain amount of time, also they have to work immediately. And there's all these imperatives on the employment programs who have to find jobs for people immediately within the first 3 months, 4 months. And so you're in our English classes for 3-4 months, you go to this job, it's always a low-level job, so you're working very hard and you can't fit English in with the next stage of your life. And if you don't learn English in the first 2 years, refugees are convinced that maybe I can't. I've tried, I've been there, I've gone to class, I must be stupid. I'm not getting it. And they don't understand that really the time is not being allowed for them. And that's nobody's fault in the agencies. The imperatives of the programs only give you funding for that amount of time of support. And so though all of us know that refugees may need support a lot longer, we can't provide it because there's no funding for it. And there's no funding to support also the staff that are needed for that. So English is difficult. English is probably one of the most difficult languages, even though we're not aware of it. I can give you examples that you don't have to hear right now. But just keep in mind that refugees are trying, and the circumstances are very challenging. And in the classroom, just imagine yourself as an adult trying to communicate these deep and complex feelings you may have when your vocabulary is just made of like 25 words. So it makes you feel like an idiot, especially if you're an adult and used to be in control of your life, and now suddenly you're trying to communicate important things and you do not have the words and you don't have the vocabulary. So people are traumatized by this as well. And we have to remember that the basis of success in America is language, but learning a language is a hard, difficult, long process. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you so much. Salimah, do you mind addressing this question, please?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Fille and Lou about the language barrier. That's really difficult even for our newcomer students. And so we do offer ESL classes, but we have to keep in mind that the integration process from Spanish-speaking immigrants it takes refugees a lot longer because it is a different language. And there are so many resources in Spanish in the school district. And so language, again, is one of them. Trauma that they're bringing in. What that looks like in a classroom and how it impacts, them, the students around them, that's really challenging. Also intermittent schooling. A lot of the refugee families that we have come from interrupted formal education. And that could happen either during their migration stage when they're migrating to the US or whichever country it may be. And so they do, they don't have that a continuous formal education, and that puts them also behind, and that would be challenging. The mandatory attendance policy in Texas for schooling is a new concept, and so that's challenging, just trying to explain it to parents. And it might have been different from their home school or from the refugee camp because they may not have had that mandatory attendance policy. And so these are all challenges that build up for when they're in school with refugee kids. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Radhika?
Yeah. I think, so to add to what's already been said, from the interactions that I've had with clients at CST, I can see that they face numerous challenges when they first get here. Refugees have to get accustomed to the new way of life in the US, adjust to the cultural differences, and in so many cases, learn a new language, as Lou was mentioning. They're navigating all these different systems while also possibly coping with past trauma and a lack of family and support system. And we notice that their mental health plays a huge role in the ability to cope with this change. So when we meet them in counseling, we can see that refugees might have gone a long time without adequate mental health support, making it difficult to adapt to their new and changed environments. There's also so many pressures on refugees. They have to start school, keep up with their class, look for a new job, provide for their families. And with timely mental health support, we can help overcome these obstacles. We've seen in counseling that refugees are able to identify their strengths. And at CST, I've been really fortunate to witness the many successes in our clients' lives owing to their own strengths and tremendous resilience. We've had individuals that have graduated from high school and college, start their own business, work in the healthcare industry, and they're currently on the front lines of the pandemic, and many go on to get their American citizenship. But when we look at their journey as a whole from when they first arrived, it's truly incredible just how much they've overcome to achieve all of this.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saying that. Mike, you're next.
Yes, thank you, Amira. Employment-wise, the hardship that the refugees face is a lot, and it is admirable what refugees face. They can overcome. So they have to adjust to transportation barriers, and also learn how to learn the reality that they have to start rebuilding their lives pretty much for all of them from the same point, regardless of their educational and expertise and background, and climb the ladder all up, except minimum wage job and entry level, even though some come with medical, engineering, etc. backgrounds, and quickly learn the new vocabularies for their new jobs and start using them to become independent without relying on anyone else. So other hardships is being away from other family members and loved ones, being away from one's own country of origin and culture. However, they are tremendously resilient. Each one of them have skills and knowledge that positively impact our individual and collective lives. So at the end of the day, they all come with a passion to rebuild their lives in the United States, and they do become, positively contributors to their local communities and the U.S. overall.
Thank you so much, Mike. Nicely done. Fille and Mike, I would like to ask you additional questions. Fille, can you please start first? What do you wish people understood about the refugee community as a whole?
Thank you so much for that question. This one kind of reminds me of when we first came. I remember going to school, and this kid pushed me. We were going to the cafeteria, and this was like in 2008. And then she was like, and then I did not know what to say to her. And then she was like, why don't you just go back home? So what I told her, I said in my mind, I was like, I wish this girl know that I wish I could, like, my hope is to stay home. So what I wish people to understand about refugees is that we don't choose to come here. Like, those people, they don't choose to leave their countries. It's not their choice. They are forced to flee out of fear, out of persecution, war, and violences. And then I also want people to understand that many refugees were community leaders in their home countries, and we settled in the US with the hope to participate and become active members of their new communities. Also, refugees resettled to the United States and quickly begin to build their new lives. So they want to start working as soon as possible because they want to provide for their families and establish their new lives here in their new country. So really, the refugees, a lot of them, they don't have choice to come to here, and they want to build a new life to their new countries. Yeah.
Thank you, Fille. Thank you. Mike?
Yes, thank you. That's a pretty important question. To the community to know about the refugees. These people, I would like to stress some of the points that Fille mentioned, that they have nowhere else to go but here. They have no choice. And these refugees have no one else to turn to but us. They are passionate, hardworking, and dream as big as the United States could be, and many of them do achieve their goals and make their dreams come true. They are smart, skillful. They come to the US through the legal process and being extensively vetted. They are patriotic, and we have seen some of them actually even join the United States Army and being deployed overseas to defend and protect the United States Constitution's values and interests. They are passionate. They love their new home country, the United States. So I think that we are lucky to have them.
I agree, Mike. Thank you. Thank you so much. Our next question for you guys is, why is the U.S. Refugee Resettlement Program essential? And how has the recent dramatic decrease in refugees impacted your programs? Fille, do you mind addressing this?
Yeah, that's fine. According to the UN, more than 7 million people have been displaced from their home country by violence and persecution. 26 million of those displaced of refugees have fled their home countries. So resettlement is a lifeline that's accessible to less than 1% of those displaced. The U.S. Refugee Resettlement Program is essential because it provides a lifeline to those in need and show the value that America stands for. The United States, and more especially Texas, have been leaders in supporting and welcoming refugees. This is something we should be proud of. One of the pillars of the Refugee Resettlement Program in the United States is family reunification. one consequences of the decreases in the number of refugee granted resettlement in the United States is that has meant like the family have to be separated. They're gonna stay separated because the refugees are not coming. We are disappointed with the numbers of refugees. However, we are encouraged by the incredible support our clients and organizations received from the Austin communities. So, yeah.
Thank you. It's good to hear good news. Lou, do you mind addressing this question?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
It's very difficult for people to visualize or to even imagine what it's like to be living under war or in a refugee camp languishing for years. We've seen refugees who've been in refugee camps for 20 years, 25 years, all of their children born there. They are not, when they're not here, their life is not normal, their life is not safe. So when we cut the number of refugees allowed into the resettlement program by this much, from 100 to 200,000 to now 18,000 this year, but actually only about 7,000 have arrived. So you have thousands of people who are in the pipeline hoping and wishing and planning and seeing this light in the distance that is the hope for them and their family suddenly extinguished. Because when they lost their time, lost their place in line, there's all these thousands of people also who would like to come, who've also applied. So we are creating a dam that has stopped a flow. And as Fille was saying, the flow, the people who are coming here are not even 1% of the refugees that have left their countries and living in danger. So every day we stop people from coming is a day where people are dying. There are children dying. There are families losing their homes every day, being shot at, being tortured, being imprisoned. And all of that, we somehow choose to wear our blinders and not acknowledge that these things are happening and that we have a role. And our role and our duty is to do something to save as many people as possible. Yeah. We are not doing our job here. And when the US falls short of supporting humanitarian efforts in the world, so does everybody else, because they can use this as an excuse. With a country like the US, which has so many resources, cutting down on the number of refugees, I guess refugees must be dangerous and it's not important for us to support them. So the rest of the world also falls down on that duty, and people are dying. People who cannot leave are dying. Now, there are others that are dying anyway that we're not going to bring here, even if we only go up to that 1%. And those are people we also have to think about. We have to work, we have to do our job as a country that has a leadership role in the world to help create peace, to help stop the whole advent of people having to become refugees. And it is in our hands, and it is something we can do, but we don't choose to do, unfortunately. Now, with the numbers cut in coming to the US, first of all, besides what's happening to them back overseas, people here have lost loved ones, have lost the ability to have loved ones near. People's siblings who are about to come and then could not. A family who, let's say the wife and the child may be overseas ready to come and the husband is here, they have not come. And who knows when that will resume, because every time we stop the process, it takes a lot longer for it to open again, and for the people who were in line to really be able to come. And that is a really big responsibility on our shoulders that we are choosing not to look at, because there's a lot of other things happening in our world today. But refugees are also suffering under the coronavirus overseas in refugee camps. They are also going through so much more than we ever can. And we really need to resume our responsibility and bring back refugees. What has happened in our program, we used to serve in 2017, I think it was, we served 1,000 clients in our ESL program. Last year, we served 200. So that is the drop that has happened. And the numbers have been reduced drastically. We are able to serve people maybe deeper in that we're able to go back and serve people who've been here longer. We have the space for them. So we're doing what we can to make, to deepen our role so that we're doing more for the refugees who are here, but really we have a responsibility for those who are not here.
Thank you, Lou. And you know, to add to that, sometimes hope is the only thing the refugee has or have, and taking that away from you, knowing that you may not be able to go to United States is just heartbreaking, and it can just kill. But thank you. Mike, do you want to address this question, please?
Hey, Amira, sorry, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So to your question, why is it essential? So I'm going to go back to a point that I made earlier, that it is true that the refugees come here because they have nowhere else to go. But once they are here, then they contribute tremendously towards the U.S. economy and the U.S. well-being overall. So also some of those who have actually left their home countries, they have done so because they have had, and some of them continue to work with the U.S. mission in countries like Iraq and Afghanistan. So their lives and their families' lives are in danger. That's why they come to this country. So that's why it is essential that we have this program and these services so we can help those who help us overseas and help our troops. We have seen entire programs and agencies shut down, which is heartbreaking. People have lost jobs and they are heartbroken for not being able to help that vulnerable population. Refugees have been separated from families, friends, and loved ones, and have now been waiting for years to be reunited with their families. So it is really hard for those that are waiting, and we're hopeful that their family members and loved ones could join them, but now God knows how long it's going to take, in the time being.
Thank you, Mike. My next question is, what challenges would you give people, not just in Austin community, but across Texas, to better serve refugees in their community? Lou, can you please answer that?
Yeah. I would challenge people to get to know a refugee family, get to know a child, mentor, tutor, volunteer, because they are strangers as long as you don't befriend them. They are people who deserve to be supported and to be befriended. But not just that, it will enrich your life. Because refugees bring cultures that are so deep and so intricate, and it is a way for us to see the world while we are here, to experience other people's points of view, other people's lives. I would challenge everyone to do something to support refugees and to please advocate, because all of this cannot happen without having politicians on board, and politicians are not on board. The dog in that cartoon squirrel, they see another shiny object and they forget what they were concentrating on, and they don't care really enough about human beings in general, and we all should. So please, befriend a refugee, get to know a refugee family, volunteer with a refugee agency, raise money or donations for refugee agencies to help refugees, and read, educate yourself, learn more, and then please contact your politicians and advocate for refugee resettlement, going back to what it used to be for us all to be able to support refugees. Texans are strong, hospitable. We are hospitable, we are generous, we are brave. Why are we turning our back on people who need us?
Thank you, Lou. Salimah, do you mind please addressing this question?
Yeah, so thank you so much. I completely agree with what Lou is saying, is that, you know, they bring such a rich culture, and we need to look at it from a different cultural lens. Oftentimes, you know, in the media, they just portray refugees as a burden on society, but that's not necessarily the case. You know, we go to the restaurants, we go to these, we try different cuisines, the music, they bring such a rich culture, and we just have to remember to keep in mind the positive aspects, and that they do contribute positively to the American society. Many refugees, when they arrive to the U.S., the great diversity of skills that they bring, right? And especially in school environments, they increase the diversity in the school environments. They bring new perspectives. They facilitate the inclusion of students, and overall just help improve the attitude towards refugees. I have so many teachers that I've worked with that didn't really understand the culture, and just after working with these families, they're just so grateful that they've learned all these new things. They've learned about the languages. What is Chin? You know, they didn't understand that Burmese had different languages and cuisines and religions. And so we're learning with them, and they do bring that positive aspect. And so we just have to keep in mind the positivity that they bring into our society, and value that and look at it from a different cultural lens. Just because it's different from the American or Western society doesn't mean that it's less than. So thinking of it like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, panelists, for providing your insights and expertise around refugee resettlement to expand the community's knowledge about refugees. Thank you, everyone, for attending this panel discussion for World Refugee Day celebration.